11 minutes.
Just to begin by making reference to Deputy Murphy's words, and Deputy Murphy, you referenced Deputy Bruton's earlier words. It might surprise you now that I'm going to agree with you on this point, that we are in such a serious situation with respect to nature collapse in this country that we cannot look at targets and dismiss them and say we don't know how to get there. It is such a serious situation. We have to set the targets and we have to figure out then how to get there. And I disagree with my colleague on the Joint Oireachtas Committee on Environment and Climate Action, Deputy Bruton, on this particular point. If I speak to the decline in nature in my home county of Limerick, and with gratitude to Dr. Tom Harrington and Tom Tarpey, who gave a presentation to the local branch of the Green Party just last week, and I'm going to refer extensively to the research that both have done over the years, painstaking research, and certainly through the research you see the passion they have for nature, and they've seen through their lives this incredible decline in our biodiversity and nature in my home county. The collapse in bird species particularly is utterly alarming. 52% decline in 30 years, the shoveler, the potsherd, 77% decline in 30 years. The red grouse, greater than 50% decline in 30 years. The kestrel, 53% decline in 20 years. The golden plover, 44% decline in 20 years. The dunlin, 62% decline in 20 years. Snipe, 78% decline in 30 years. Woodcock, 73% decline. And the list goes on and on and on. The barn owl, 50% decline in 20 years. The swift, 56% decline in 20 years. The grey wagtail, 50% decline in 20 years. And this is only a snapshot of what was actually quite a harrowing presentation to the members and general public as well that attended last week in the Strand Hotel in Limerick when they gave us this talk. We are seeing a total collapse in nature, and this should utterly alarm everybody in this House and in the upper house as well. And we are not taking it seriously. Just this week, members of our European larger representative parties, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin at the European level, torpedoed or sought to torpedo the nature restoration law. And this is a crime against nature, an utter crime against nature. And I listened to Deputy O'Rourke, who I have great respect for, who is a very valued colleague and a very tireless worker, I have to say, on the Joint Oireachtas Committee on Environment and Climate Action. And Deputy O'Rourke, at the beginning of his contribution, talked about this decline of nature that is happening right now. At the same time, you sent a signal to the agriculture, the intensive agriculture community in this country, that this is about pathways and not cliff edges. What the Sinn Féin representative in Europe did earlier in the week was to go to the cliff edge and throw the nature restoration law over the edge. That is what the bigger parties in this country are seeking to do. And that is unconscionable. That is utterly unconscionable. In Biodiversity Week, it's unconscionable following the Citizens' Assembly on biodiversity loss. And I would urge colleagues who I respect all across this House and all parties, because I believe you are serious and you are here to do a good job for this country, to understand the crisis that we are in and seek to stop this absolute collapse that is underway. it is not, this is not a time for doublespeak, and that is what we're hearing. Total and utter doublespeak, not taking this issue as seriously as it is. And it will come back to haunt us, because these very systems are the systems that support food production and life. And if we look short term, if we are politically expedient, we will lose these systems, and the very existence of our species will be threatened if we see total nature and biodiversity collapse, and that is where we are going. I look at the map of the rivers at risk in my home county. The green rivers on the map are those that are good quality water. The amber are at risk, and the red are very much at risk. It's primarily a map of red river and water courses throughout County Limerick. And there is an absolute correlation between that deterioration and the growth of intensive agriculture in this country. And if I can borrow from Tom Tarpey's words, the livestock industry has completely captured the political process in Ireland. It is the tail wagging the dog. And it's a throwback to times when agriculture was the dominant economic force in the country, and intense lobbying has happened in the interim. Now agriculture accounts for just 1% of our gross domestic product. It produces 37% of our emissions, and it is inextricably linked with the nature collapse that is greatly underway in this country. The sector has a completely disproportionate influence on this Parliament, and we have to stand up to that. This is about pathways, Deputy O'Rourke. The nature restoration law is the pathway. It is not the cliff edge. The nature restoration law is the regulation from Europe that would seek to get us on the pathway to turning the course of nature collapse back onto the right path. And I would urge you and to urge your colleagues, just as I will urge Deputy Bruton and any colleague in this House, to persuade and influence their colleagues to get on board, to be on the right side of history, because currently so many of us are on the wrong side of history, and that is not good enough. Gur Magat.